This is a holy place, a place of pilgrimage and welcome. It stands alone now, the last heartbeat of a Belfast Sailortown that has all but been destroyed. A lot of people are praying for St Joseph's Church in the Belfast Dockland. The Catholic Church closed it in February 2001 without consulting its congregation. But every Sunday since, the faith community has gathered outside its locked doors to continue a century-old tradition of worship. To date, their prayers remain unanswered. In these days of dwindling church attendances, the people of St Joseph's are unique. But what motivates these ordinary Catholics? The answer is simple. It is their spiritual home.
My name is Marie O'Hara, and I was born here in Nelson Street. I was baptised here, made my first communion confirmation here. Myself and my husband actually were married here. The oldest of my children were baptised here too. Now, like everybody else, we moved away, but over the last 10 years we've been coming back to St Joseph's, and never for a minute did we think that the bishop was just going to walk in and decide to shut it.
St Joseph's has been the spiritual anchor in the lives of the people of the Sailortown area since 1872. Their pennies built and maintained it through poverty and pogrom. Their families worked and scrimped to ensure its existence and its survival. The chapel at the docks was built to accommodate the thousands of working class Catholics who streamed into the north end of the city in the 1860s. For generations, it was a refuge in times that were hard and uncertain. Former residents of Sailortown have joined with many newer parishioners who have found comfort within the walls of the little chapel, to claim that anchor as theirs by right. As uncertainty about the future of St Joseph's has brought desecration and destruction, the bond of faith to this place has strengthened, the memories of the beauty of its interior treasured.
I think what's significant about this is that 18 months after the doors of this church were closed without any consultation with the parishioners, that people still continue to come here each and every Sunday and worship outside the now cordoned off church building. And that's very unusual for Catholics. Catholics in Belfast and Ireland are not noted for being anti-church, but here you have a congregation made up of older people, younger people, middle-aged people who openly each week defy the Catholic Bishop of Down and Connor and say, we want our church reopened. We've gone as far as saying to the Bishop, give us the keys. We believe that we spiritually and morally own this building. Give us the keys. We will reopen the doors and we will worship in it and we will get a priest.
Once this district was home to more than 5,000 souls. Terraces hugged the dockside and the trumpet of horns from factory, mill and ship called the people to work. All the while St Joseph's was a haven at the heart of a busy port. In the 1970s, houses that had been homes to generations were bulldozed in the name of progress. Bureaucracy was heartless as tradition was swept away. The Sailortown diaspora began and its people were scattered across the city. Promises of new housing at the dock came to nothing. Through all the upheaval, St Joseph's was the one constant in their lives. People assumed it would always be so, and the Franciscan order spent a happy 10 years as custodians. The Sailortown Society was formed in October 1999 when a dozen or so former residents got together to reminisce and revive some of the Dockland traditions. They cherished St Joseph's and breathed new life into the surrounding streets through a series of community festivals. The old fighting spirit was undiminished. The Society also campaigned to have the chapel restored as rumours of a sell-off rang through the dock.
There had been a series of rumours going back a number of months around the local community that St Joseph's was to be closed. So we asked Father David White, who had a responsibility for this church, was St Joseph's going to be closed? And surprisingly that he said it was. Plans were at an advanced stage for it to be sold to a developer in the autumn of 2000. We then decided that we would hold a public meeting to consult with our community, to which we invited representatives of the church to attend. They declined that offer. This issue was then subsequently denied publicly. In November of 2000, the Catholic Church then decided that a full detailed structural survey would be carried out to determine the future of this building. Now, to date, no one has seen any sight nor sound of this full so-called detailed structural survey, on which they have decided to close this church.
Worshippers staged a walkout as Bishop Walsh prepared to speak at the closing Mass. The Bishop turned his back as worshippers pleaded.
It makes me so angry to think that one man can close this chapel that means so much to so many people. It's a sin, and me personally, I'll never stop the fight to reopen St Joseph's.
West Belfast priest Des Wilson celebrated Mass for 200 people on the steps of the chapel 1 week after its closure. He has continued to support what he describes as a devoted community.
I'm fifth generation in Sailortown here, and my mother and my grandparents, my great-grandparents all contributed to the building of this church. And my mother is on record and has been in the Sunday People and on TV stating that she would want to be buried from St Joseph's, having attended it for almost 80 years. So it means an awful lot to the people down here, and you know, it really is a disgrace that the way the church has gone about this here and decided to just close it at their will. Obviously, to anyone that comes down here, there is a faith community here, and we intend to be here.
Masses were said on a regular basis in the following months, and a unique phenomenon came into being. A member of the congregation led the faithful in prayer.
Peter went up to Jesus and said, "Lord, how often must I forgive my brother if he wrongs me? As often said unto me, we believe in one Lord Jesus Christ, the only Son of God, eternally begotten of the Father, God from God."
Destruction and desecration came in secret visits to the chapel. Plumbers commissioned by the church authorities ripped out the altar and the pulpit. Priests from St Patrick's Parish organised the removal of the Stations of the Cross and the pews. Eyewitnesses saw the tabernacle cast aside and vestments strewn among the rubble. But the people refused to lose hope.
I would love to see it reopened again, that's the answer. As long as all the people here now, I would like to see it reopened again. The worship in the chapel I was baptised in, and I would love to be able to go there again and see your Mass in it without being on the street.
I think it's a disgrace that the chapel's closing. We were always told it was a place of worship, and we learned all our values and Christian faith here. And now it's just regarded as a building by the hierarchy, and it seems to be just for materialistic gain. It's worth money now, and that's why they want to close it and sell it and get rid of it. And I think it's really the only living part of the old Sailortown community here.
A 12-month media campaign finally forced the Bishop to refer the question of St Joseph's to an independent body. The Belfast Buildings Preservation Trust commissioned its study to look into the future of the chapel. The findings of the survey are due to be published in the autumn of 2002.
My great-great-grandfather actually took communion here the day it opened, and many of the other people who attend here each Sunday are fifth-generation visitors to this church. Unlike the clergy who have closed this church, who are basically birds of passage in the life of it, our people have been here and will always be here. They're the people who paid for the building of the church, they paid for its maintenance, and it actually belongs to them. So they haven't been consulted at any stage through this process. Now they've decided they want their church back.
We all grown up together here. We were a sort of a very loose connection of friends, but the closure of the church has brought us together as a family. I think something which the church never envisaged, and hopefully as a family we can bring back our spiritual home.
There is grants available, and we could have got grants to do something with the church. I just feel that we've been really treated really horribly. There's a lot of elderly people here who always thought they were going to be buried from St. Joseph's, and well, that's not going to happen now. There's churches that can't get people to go to, and we have a church here, we have a congregation here, and the doors is barred on us. It doesn't say very much for our church.
Good friends and all the wonderful things.
Father Des celebrates Mass as often as he can.
Difficult for people.
He declares St. Joseph's the People's Church. Father Joe McVeigh travels nearly 200 miles to register his support for the continuation of the Eucharist at the dock.
Well, if you look across the Catholic churches across Belfast, there's a boom in restoration and renovation of Catholic churches across the whole of the north of Ireland. But we feel that here at St. Joseph's, the Catholic hierarchy have no vision for St. Joseph's, and that's one of the reasons they have closed it. We certainly here, the campaigners, we have a vision for this church. This church belongs to the local community, belongs to the people. We would see this church being used on a 7-day basis, not just for Sunday worship. It would be used for adult learning classes, it would be used for travelling community, it could be used for local Irish-speaking community. It would be a church of welcome on the door of the port of Belfast. We would see this as a church for all the people of Belfast in a sense. It's ideal for many ventures, not just for Sunday worship.
Worshipped here every Sunday. We weren't told about the chapel being closed. There was nothing said to us. I had a grandson christened on these steps last year. Those were forced onto the street. But I think it's just an absolute disgrace.
As in good Sailortown tradition, you're welcome to come up and take a flower and have it. Do you want to take some?
But I've been coming here all my life, and I don't see why I shouldn't stop coming there. It's something you're just dedicated to. I don't want to go anywhere else, so.
I think they fooled the people of this district from the very beginning. This was a done and dusted deal. The Catholic Church is a lot to answer for. All the troubles in Northern Ireland, they should be working to keep people together instead of splitting them up in smithereens and sending them all around the outskirts of Belfast. These districts should be cherished, not broken up.
Yes, a lot of people are praying for St. Joseph's. People who love it. People who follow the track of faith to its door. People who aspire to hope. Their prayers deserve an answer.